Crash! The glass shattered on the marble floor. Crash! Everyone went silent. Slow music stopped. Waiters froze. Several dozen wealthy guests turned to gape. And in the center of the golden, gleaming ballroom was a poor maid with trembling hands. Her name was Grace. 1,000 splinters of a crystal glass lay at her feet, a glass worth over half her monthly salary. In front of her stood the owner of the house, billionaire business tycoon, powerful, cold, Mr. Ethan Carter. He looked at the shattered glass, then at Grace. The anger in his eyes went black then. "Are you blind?" Mr. Carter shouted. His voice echoed through the hall. Grace's lips trembled. "I'm sorry, sir. He stepped closer. "You?" he said. "Do you even know how much that glass costs?" Tears filled her eyes. Her fingers shook as she tried to pick up the glass pieces. Her knees almost touched the floor. Around them, rich guests whispered. Some smirked. Some looked away. No one helped. And near the staircase, a little girl watched everything. Mr. Carter's 10-year-old daughter, Mia. Her small hands were also shaking, because she knew the truth. It wasn't Grace who broke the glass. It was her. If you were Mia in that moment, what would you do? The Carter mansion glowed like a palace. Huge chandeliers. Golden walls. Waiters moving like soldiers. Everything looked perfect. Grace moved through the crowd with a tray of drinks. Her black shoes were old. The uniform was tight around her tired shoulders. Her back hurt, but she kept a small, polite smile. "Excuse me, ma'am." "Here you go, sir. Careful, the drink is cold." She worked quietly, because she knew one rule. Don't make a mistake in this house. On the other side of the room, Mr. Carter laughed with other rich men in suits. He talked about money, deals, millions. "To success," one man said. They all raised their crystal glasses. Mia stood near the dessert table, bored. She wore a pretty blue dress, perfect hair, perfect shoes, but her eyes looked lonely. She saw Grace passing by. "Grace," she whispered, "can I have one of those fancy drinks?" "Please." Grace smiled softly. "You already had juice, Mia. Please." Mia begged. "Just one." "I'll be careful." Grace looked around. If Mr. Carter saw. But she didn't like saying no to Mia. The girl was the only one in this house who talked to her like a human. "Okay," Grace said in a low voice. "But hold it tight, all right?" She handed her the thin crystal glass. Cold, heavy, slippery. Mia held it with both hands. She took a tiny sip and smiled. "It's so fancy," she giggled. Then someone called Grace from behind. "Grace, we need you in the kitchen." She turned her head. "Coming." For 1 second, she looked away from Mia. Just 1 second. Mia took a step back. Her heel slipped on a drop of spilled drink on the floor. Her foot slid. Her hand jerked. The glass flew from her fingers. Crash. Every eye turned. The music stopped. Grace spun around. The glass was at her feet. Everyone was staring at her. Mia's face went pale. Her mouth opened, but no sound came out. Mr. Carter stormed forward. His jaw was tight. His voice was like ice. "What happened here?" he demanded. No one spoke. All eyes turned to Grace. I dropped it, sir," Grace whispered. Her voice was small. She looked at the floor. She didn't want Mia to get in trouble. She knew how strict Mr. Carter was. "You dropped it?" he repeated loudly. He stepped even closer. Grace could smell his expensive cologne. "This glass," he said slowly, Costs more than your entire month's salary. Do you understand that? Grace's chest hurt. She nodded weakly. I'm very sorry, sir. It was an accident. I'll pay. He laughed. A cold, cruel laugh. You? Pay? He said. With what? With your empty pockets. A couple near them tried to hide their smiles. Another maid looked down in shame, too scared to move. Grace's hands shook as she picked up the sharp pieces. One small piece cut her finger. A red drop of blood appeared. She gasped softly. But she didn't stop. She kept picking up the glass with shaking hands. Mr. Carter kept talking. People like you, he said, come into my house and break things you can't even afford to look at. Grace blinked away her tears. Her throat burned. Please, sir, she whispered, I really need this job. My mother is sick. My son. Enough, he shouted. The room went even more silent. If you can't even hold a glass, he said, maybe you don't belong in a place like this. He looked at the head housekeeper. Deduct the cost from her salary. And if she makes one more mistake. He paused. Everyone waited. She's fired. Grace felt like the floor under her was gone. Her heart dropped. Her eyes finally overflowed. A tear fell on the cold marble. Behind them, someone quietly held up a phone. One of the waiters. He recorded the whole scene. And Mia. She stood frozen. Her little fingers pressed against her dress. Her eyes filled with tears of guilt. She whispered, so low that only she could hear it. It was me. The music started again. The party went on. But that night, something else also started. Karma. And Karma had just pressed record. That night, Grace walked home with heavy steps. She lived in a tiny one-room house on a crowded street. Thin walls. Leaking roof. A small bed where her 7-year-old son, Eli, slept. She opened the door quietly. Eli sat up, rubbing his eyes. "Mom? You're late," he said. "Did you eat?" Grace forced a smile. "I'm fine, baby. Go back to sleep." But he saw her red eyes. The small bandage on her finger. "Mom, were you crying?" he asked. She sat next to him. Her shoulders drooped. "I'm just tired," she said softly. In her mind, Mr. Carter's words replayed. "People like you. More than your salary. You don't belong." She looked at Eli's small face. His hair messy. His school books stacked in the corner. "I can't lose this job," she thought. "His school, my mother's medicine, everything depends on it." She lay down next to him. But sleep did not come easily. The next morning, something else did. In a small cafe across town, the waiter who recorded the video sat with his friends. "I can't believe how he spoke to her," one friend said. "She didn't even do anything wrong," another said. The waiter frowned at his phone. He didn't post the video himself. But he sent it to someone he trusted. Within hours, the video had a title. "Billionaire Humiliates Maid Over a Broken Glass." It started to spread. First in group chats. Then on social media. People watched it and got angry. "Look at how he treats her. She's just doing her job. This is disgusting." Faces online pressed play again and again. The words "Mr. Carter" and "humiliates Maid" started trending. At first, Mr. Carter didn't know. He walked into his office in his tall glass building. He barked orders. "Bring me the files. Call the board." But then his assistant ran in, face white. "Sir, you need to see this." She placed a tablet in front of him. He hit play. There he was. His own voice shook the room. "People like you don't belong here. Zoom on Grace's shaking hands. Her tears. Her bleeding finger. The comments poured in on the screen. What a monster! Money has made him blind. How can he talk like that to a maid? Mr. Carter's face went stiff. Who recorded this? He shouted. Sir, we don't know yet, the assistant said. But everyone is talking about it. News pages, bloggers, clients. His phone started vibrating non-stop. Calls, messages, emails. Even his own daughter, Mia, saw the video on a friend's phone at school. Her heart dropped. Her eyes filled again. It was me, she whispered in the school bathroom. I broke the glass. Not Grace. Guilt wrapped around her like chains. That evening, the house felt different. Reporters waited outside the gate. Workers whispered in corners. Some looked at Mr. Carter with hidden anger. Some with fear. Grace came to work, as always. Her eyes were tired, but she walked straight. As she entered, she heard two staff members whisper, "She's the maid from the video." Poor thing. Grace froze. What video? She asked slowly. They showed her. She watched herself on the screen. Her shaking hands. Her tears. Mr. Carter towering over her. Her throat closed. I didn't want this, she thought. I just wanted to work. Grace, the head housekeeper said, walking up fast, Mr. Carter wants to see you in his study. Her heart began to race. Is he going to fire me? She walked down the long hallway. The floor was so shiny she could see her own scared reflection. She stopped at the door. Knocked softly. Come in, his voice said. She walked in. Mr. Carter stood by the window, phone in his hand, face tight. The room was full of silence. He turned slowly. For the first time, Grace saw something in his eyes. Not just anger. Worry. Fear. You've seen the video? He asked. Yes, sir, she said quietly. He took a deep breath. Do you know what this is doing to my name? My company? My deals? Grace looked at the floor. Her hands twisted together. Sir, I never asked anyone to record. He cut her off. Of course not. You don't have that kind of power. His words hurt again. But then his voice softened, just a little. I may have been harsh, he said slowly. I was under stress. Big deal. Guests. Pressure. He walked closer. Listen. I need this to go away, he said. If anyone asks, you will say I apologized to you that night. You will say you're not upset. That I treat my staff well. Grace looked up, shocked. But you didn't apologize, sir. His jaw tightened. Well, I'm apologizing now, aren't I? He snapped. Think about your job. You want to keep working here, right? Her heart pounded. Her mind screamed, say yes or you'll lose everything. But her chest felt heavy. Her pride hurt. Her dignity burned. Before she could answer, a loud scream cut through the house. Dad! It was Mia, her voice full of terror. Then another sound. Crashing. A maid running. People yelling. Fire. The kitchen. Mr. Carter's eyes went wide. Mia, he whispered. He ran out of the room. Grace followed. They reached the hallway. Smoke rolled out from the kitchen door. Flames glowed inside. Don't go in. It's too dangerous, someone shouted. MIA is in there, a cook cried. She went to get ice cream from the freezer. Mr. Carter's face went white. He took a step toward the door. The heat hit him hard. He shielded his face. She's in there, he choked. My daughter. Everyone hesitated. The fire grew stronger. People coughed. Some ran to get blankets and water. Grace didn't think twice. She grabbed a wet cloth, wrapped it around her mouth, and before anyone could stop her, she ran straight into the smoke. The man who had humiliated her was now watching her risk her life for his child. The kitchen was full of black smoke. Heat burned Grace's skin. Her eyes watered. "Mia!" she shouted. Her voice cracked. She dropped to her knees to stay under the smoke. She crawled forward, feeling the floor with her hands. Plates lay broken. A chair was knocked over. The fire had started near the stove and spread to the curtains. "Mia, where are you?" A small, coughing sound came from near the big freezer. "Gee, Grace," a weak voice said. Grace followed the sound. Her heart beat like a drum. She saw Mia curled up behind the freezer, arms over her head. Grace grabbed her. The girl clung to her like a scared kitten. I'm sorry," Mia whispered, coughing. "About the glass. I broke it, not you." Grace's chest tightened. Even now, this child was thinking about that. "We'll talk later," Grace said. "Right now, we need to get out." She wrapped Mia in her apron. She pulled her close and ran back, fighting the smoke. At the door, 2 guards poured water on the flames to push them back. Grace with Mia in her arms appeared through the black clouds. Everyone rushed forward. Mr. Carter almost fell as he ran to them. "Mia!" he cried. He took her from Grace's shaking arms. His own hands were trembling. "Are you okay?" he asked, voice breaking. He checked her face, her arms, her skin. Mia coughed but nodded. "I'm okay, Dad," she whispered. He pulled her into a tight hug. For a moment, the powerful billionaire was just a scared father. Behind him, Grace leaned on the wall. Her hair was messy. Her clothes were black with smoke. Her lungs burned. The doctor checked them both. They were safe. When the chaos calmed, Mr. Carter looked at Grace. Really looked at her. Not as a maid. Not as people like you. As the woman who had just saved his daughter. Why did you go in there?" he asked. His voice was softer, almost small. Grace looked at Mia, then at him. "Because she's a child," Grace said simply. "And because someone had to." There was no anger in her voice. Just tired honesty. Mia tugged on her father's sleeve. "Dad," she whispered, "I have to tell you something." He knelt beside her. "Yes, sweetheart." She looked at Grace, then at him. Her eyes filled with tears again. "The glass that broke at the party," she said slowly. "It was me. I slipped. I dropped it. Grace tried to protect me." Silence. The words hung in the air like heavy clouds. Mr. Carter's face changed. Shock. Realization. Guilt. He remembered his words. "You don't belong here. People like you." He had blamed the wrong person. He had hurt the wrong heart. And the woman he humiliated was the same woman who just risked her life for his daughter. Karma. It hit him hard. Right in the chest. I judged you," he said slowly, looking at Grace. "I insulted you in front of everyone. I punished you for something you didn't do. And still, you went into that fire." His eyes shone with something new. Tears. For the first time, Grace thought, he looks human. The next day, news spread again. But this time, the story was different. Maid saves billionaire's daughter from fire. Same maid he humiliated at party becomes a hero. The video of the humiliation now had a new ending. People added the clip of Grace carrying Mia out of the smoke. The world watched. And this time, the anger was mixed with respect. Not for him. For her. A week later, Mr. Carter held a press conference in his mansion. Cameras flashed. Reporters waited. He stepped to the microphone. He looked tired, humbled. Next to him stood Grace, her uniform fresh and clean, her posture straight. Mia held her hand. Mr. Carter took a deep breath. "A few days ago," he began, "a video of me went viral. In that video, I spoke terribly to a member of my staff. I humiliated her. I treated her as less than human." He paused. His voice shook. "I want to say this clearly," he continued. "I was wrong." The room went quiet. "Grace is not people like you," he said. "She is kind, brave, and she risked her life to save my daughter." He turned to Grace. In front of everyone. "I am sorry," he said. "This time it was real. No pressure. No deal. I'm sorry for the way I spoke to you. I'm sorry I didn't listen. I'm sorry I used my power to crush your dignity." Grace's eyes filled with tears. Not of pain this time. Of release. He turned back to the cameras. "From today," he said, "Grace is not just a maid in this house. She is the head house manager. Her salary is doubled. And her son, Eli, his education will be fully paid for by my company. All the way to college." Gasps. Whispers. Cameras flashed faster. Grace covered her mouth with her hand. Her body shook. "My son," she whispered. Mia squeezed her hand. "Grace deserves it, Dad," she said. Mr. Carter nodded. "And one more thing," he added. "I am starting a foundation in my wife's name. It will support workers like Grace. Maids, drivers, cleaners, people who are often invisible. I have been blind for too long. That ends today." He stepped back from the microphone. The press conference ended. But something else had just begun. A change in his heart. Later that evening, when the cameras were gone, the house was quiet. Grace stood in the garden. The air was cool. For the first time, she allowed herself to breathe freely. Eli ran up to her after school. "Mom, they said a rich man is going to pay for my school," he shouted. His eyes sparkled. Grace hugged him tightly. "Yes," she said. "You will study, Eli. You will have the life I never had." He smiled. "Is it because you're a hero?" She shook her head softly. "It's because, sometimes, even when people treat you badly, you still choose to do what's right. And life sees that." On the balcony above, Mr. Carter watched them. He wasn't wearing his usual cold face. He looked thoughtful. Mia stood next to him. "Dad?" she asked. "Yes, sweetheart." "Are you still angry the glass broke?" she asked quietly. He sighed. "No," he said. "I was angry at the wrong person. For the wrong thing." He looked down at Grace and Eli. "I used to think money made me powerful," he said. "But today I realized something." "What?" Mia asked. He paused, then spoke slowly. "Real power is how you treat people who have less than you." Mia leaned her head on his arm. "I'm glad Grace came into the fire for me," she said. He nodded. "I'm glad too," he whispered. Down in the garden, Grace looked up at the sky. Stars were starting to appear. She thought about that night with the broken glass, the shame, the tears, and then she thought about today. Her son's future, the apology, the respect in people's eyes. Karma did not give her money in her hands, but it gave her something bigger. Dignity, justice, and a better life for her child. Sometimes people with power think they can say anything. They think poor people have no voice, no value. But life is always listening. Today you humiliate someone over a broken glass. Tomorrow you might stand in front of the whole world, begging for their forgiveness. So before you speak down to someone, remember this. The way you treat the weakest person around you shows the real value of your heart. Have you ever seen someone behave like Mr. Carter in real life? If you were there that night, would you stand with him or with Grace?